Imagine returning home only to find everything gone. No signs of struggle, no bodies, no notes. Just one eerie word carved into a tree. CROATOAN. This is not fiction, it's the chilling mystery of the lost colony of Roanoke. In 1587, over 100 English settlers arrived on Roanoke Island, off the coast of what is now North Carolina. They were the first attempt by England to establish a permanent colony in the New World. Led by Governor John White, the group included men, women, and children, hoping to start a new life across the Atlantic. But just 2 weeks later, White had to sail back to England for more supplies. War with Spain delayed his return. By the time he came back in 1590, the colony was deserted. No buildings remained, no graves, no signs of violence. Just that single word etched into a wooden post. In today's video, we will look at 7 theories behind the disappearance of this colony. But before we start, if you are new to the channel and love history, definitely subscribe to the History of Facts show and press the bell icon. Thank you. One of the most widely accepted theories is that the Roanoke settlers didn't vanish, they adapted. With dwindling supplies, harsh conditions, and no help arriving, they may have sought refuge with the CROATOAN tribe who inhabited nearby Hatteras Island. These Native Americans were known to be relatively friendly toward the English. Decades later, English explorers and settlers reported encountering Native American tribes with European features, grey eyes, light hair, and even the use of English words. Archaeologists have uncovered European items like a sword hilt, a slate writing tablet, and copper rings on Hatteras Island at sites associated with Native American settlements. This could indicate the presence of colonists or their belongings. DNA testing has been proposed and partially attempted to trace European ancestry in lumped tribal members, but conclusive results remain elusive due to centuries of intermixing. Nonetheless, this theory of one of the most peaceful and optimistic interpretations of the Roanoke mystery, suggesting cultural assimilation rather than destruction. One of the darker and more tragic theories suggests that the settlers of Roanoke were killed by hostile Native American tribes who resented the presence of Europeans on their land. Tensions between indigenous populations and colonists were common, especially as resources became scarce and misunderstandings escalated. While some tribes like the CROATOANs were friendly toward the English, others such as the CROATOANs and Powhatans were more hostile, viewing the settlers as invaders. The Roanoke colonists, already struggling with food shortages and disease, may have pushed deeper into the native territory, sparking violent retaliation. In 1607, Captain John Smith of the Jamestown colony reported that the chief Powhatan claimed he had killed the Roanoke colonists because they were living with a rival tribe and plotting against his own people. While no mass graves have been uncovered, some historians argued that that body could have been destroyed or hidden, particularly if the attack was swift or occurred far from the main settlement. Other early European settlements in the Americas were met with resistance, and massacres were not common. This theory fits into a broader pattern of colonial conflict. If the settlers had been wiped out, the CROATOANs may have feared they would blame, possibly explaining why no one came forward with information upon John White's return. Life in the New World was harsh, and the Roanoke colonists were woefully unprepared for the challenges they faced. One possibility is that the settlers succumbed to starvation and in their final desperation may have even resorted to cannibalism. The area experienced droughts confirmed by tree ring data, indicating one of the worst dry spells in 800 years, drastically affecting food supplies. Resupply missions were delayed. John White's return to England was held up by the war with Spain, leaving the colony without support for 3 years. A lot of information supports this theory. There were no signs of battle or flight. The colony was simply abandoned, suggesting a slow collapse rather than sudden violence. Historical accounts from Jamestown describe similarly desperate conditions where colonists ate rats, leather, and eventually human flesh during the starving time. Given that precedent, is not far-fetched to imagine the Roanoke settlers endured a similar fate, dying off slowly, with survivors possibly turning to cannibalism in their final days. At the time the Roanoke colony was founded, Spain and England were bitter rivals engaged in political and military conflict, most notably the Anglo-Spanish War. Spain, already established in the Americas, with colonies in the south, viewed English expansion as a direct threat. Spain claimed most of the Americas and saw any English settlements as illegal intrusions into their territory. Roanoke was strategically located along the Atlantic coast. If successful, it could become a base for English privateers to raid Spanish ships and colonies. Spanish forces had previously attacked and destroyed French colonies like Fort Caroline, Florida in 1565. They had no hesitation when it came to eliminating rivals. There are Spanish records from the 1580s suggesting they were aware of English activities in the area and were searching for their settlements. Some historians believe that Spanish patrols may have found and destroyed Roanoke, either killing the settlers or taking them prisoner. The complete disappearance without bodies, remains, or signs of struggle might support the idea that an outside force swiftly and effectively erased the colony. Some historians suggest that the Roanoke colonists, desperate and cut off from supplies, may have tried to sail back to England on their own, a bold and perilous move. The Roanoke settlers had sailors, carpenters, and craftsmen among them, theoretically capable of building or repairing boats. It's known that smaller boats were left with them after Wyatt's departure. They might have refitted this to make a transatlantic attempt. A sea journey would explain why no trace was found on land, because they simply vanished at sea. Another plausible theory is that the Roanoke settlers abandoned their coastal settlement and moved inland in search of food, protection, or a better location, only to perish due to harsh conditions or conflict. Coastal Roanoke Island was isolated and lacked adequate fresh water and reliable food sources. White found the word CROATOAN carved into a post, hinting that the settlers might have headed to CROATOAN Island, which is now Hatteras Island, or beyond. Some native oral traditions tell of fair-skinned people joining tribes or building settlements inland, but there is no definitive archaeological proof. Historians have noted European-style artifacts found in native villages, but it's unclear whether this came from Roanoke or later trade. When logic fails, myth and mystery step in. Some believe the fate of Roanoke wasn't just a case of starvation or conflict, but something far more chilling. According to some Native American legends, Roanoke Island was considered scared or cursed. Folklore tells a dark spirit or vengeful entity that protected the land from outsiders, punishing those who dared to settle there. Over the centuries, some local explorers have claimed to hear strange voices, see ghostly figures, or feel a strange presence on Roanoke Island. These texts keep the legend alive, turning the lost colony into a haunting ground for believers in the paranormal. No one knows what happened to them. Don't forget to comment and let me know what other mysterious historical things you want to know next. See you with new video. Thanks for watching.